Yo, what's up guys? That you are watching this video probably means that you bought one of my t-shirts or that you subscribed to my email list. And for that I want to thank you by sending you this free lecture, which is going to be about the 3 phases of training, or what I would also like to call it, the 3 phases of mastery. These are 3 phases that I go through in training to make sure that my training is as productive as possible, right? As efficient as possible. I always say that if you practice for, let's say, 50% productiveness or 50% efficiency for 4 years, you could do the same thing in 2 years by going 100%. But you have to be conscious of this. So it's all about being able to understand how to practice so that it's easier for you to actually evolve inside of your dance. So before we start this lecture, I want to tell you that you don't have to be worried about me using your email address for spam or for any other people than me. The email list is to get a closer connection to people who want to follow me or who support me, and I want to connect better with, basically. This way I can connect with you guys directly instead of through social media, where I don't really have complete control over what is going to be put out to you guys and what you see and what not. This way, whenever there's a new video, a new clothing, maybe a new lecture just like this, you can get it in your inbox instead of through social media and hopefully seeing what I have in store for you guys. So what you can expect, like I said, is maybe discounts on the new clothing that's coming out, or free videos that I'm posting on a monthly basis or once in 2 months. And just knowing where I'm going to be at. So you can see my schedule and see where I'm at for the next summer, the next winter, the next fall or spring or whatever. So that's kind of what it is. But for now, let's start this free lesson. When it comes to training dance, it's really important to have fun and enjoy yourself. It's important to just let go sometimes and enjoy. But if you want to go somewhere and if you want to progress, you need to have a direction. You need to have a process in order to get to a progress. If you know where you want to go, if you have a clear vision, it's easier for you to walk towards that place, right? If you don't know where you're going, you're going to walk around in circles all the time. So these 3 phases helped me a lot with getting my practice in such an order that I was able to always make sure that I progress. I wouldn't do it in the same order every time. Sometimes I choose one, sometimes I choose all. Sometimes I mix them up and do it in a different order. So you don't have to really stick to this. But this is just the beginning to end phase of how you could practice a certain technique. So let's start with the beginning. Before we start practicing, we need to have something in our body that we can practice. So where we start with is with experimenting with our body and searching for something that we enjoy and can use. So basically we start from an idea. We start from an idea, and this idea can come from inside of our body, or it can be inspiration drawn from somewhere else. Basically, what I do is I ask myself the question, what if? What if I put my hand on my face and then try to dance with that? What happens? What if I have to dance on one leg? How would I move from there, right? Or what if I think of using a light bulb and changing my body parts while I'm unscrewing the light bulb, right? So I'm taking an idea from inside of my body with just my physical possibilities, putting my hand on my shoulder, putting my hand on my back, staying low on the floor, having to jump the whole time, right? Or I take inspiration from somewhere else, climbing a ladder and then using that technique to, I don't know, to bring my legs, boom, up. Right? Something weird. It doesn't matter. It's about creating an idea. And the what if I would do this or that, can help you with that. So like I said, inspiration can come from 2 places. You can look at your own physical capabilities or any inspiration from outside, which is immensely big. You can take anything and try to put it into your dance. When searching for this idea, the most important thing is that you find something that you enjoy, that you like to do. Right? It has to be something that in some way interests you. So you just challenge yourself with different things until you find something, like for instance the light bulb that I just said, that you think is dope to use. So most important part, find something you enjoy. Because if you don't find something you enjoy, it's going to be really hard to practice it for a long time. So that's phase number 1. Just explore your body, explore your movement, experiment with what you find, and when you find something, you can go to the next phase, which is drill. Now, drilling, it's all about repeating something, repeating movements. You could see it as having a drill and having foundation of a house. When you have the foundation of the house, you have to drill it into the floor, and then you can build your house from that foundation, right? If a house doesn't have any foundation, it will fall apart. If your dance doesn't have any foundation, if it's not built upon movement, it's going to fall apart as well. A good example of that is when you're tired. If you didn't practice your movement long enough, when you get tired, it's going to look sloppy, right? So you have to drill, you have to do something over and over again for it to actually stay inside of your system so that you can use it whenever you want. After we've found the moves that make up the movement, we're now going to take these moves and we're going to create a set. A set is a very small choreography that you can do over and over and over again. Think of it like lifting weights, right? You have 10 lifts and that's a set, for instance, right? So I'm going to have to do 10 of these and that's a set. So after creating a set, we have to think of how many times we are going to do this set, right? And that can be tricky because when you get tired, you don't want to do it and so on, right? So what really worked for me is making sure that I know exactly how much I'm going to do. So for instance, I will have to do it for 1 hour straight. I cannot do less, I cannot do more, 1 hour. This way you make sure that your practice is proper and that you know exactly what you can expect from yourself and from your practice. What I always did was use the magic number 30. And why I went for the 30 is because I can use every 10 to understand the move in a different way. So the first 10 I would use to feel what it feels like. Try to understand how does it feel inside of my body. So the first 10 is feel. My second 10 times of doing the set would be understand. So the second 10 I would, after feeling what it feels like, trying to feel the mechanics of it, I would try to understand the mechanics. So if I do this, I'm going to understand that I have to use my hand and my head in the same speed. I cannot do this fast and this slow because then it is a completely different moves, right? So I try to use this to get the right timing. So that's the understanding part. 10, understanding. Whoa. Just kidding, guys. Had a problem with the audio of the video, so I have to redo a certain part, and that's why you can already see all the information on there. But we're just gonna continue. So I was talking about the last 10, which was express, right? First I feel the movement, try to understand what it feels like. Then I understand it here, try to understand the mechanics of how it works, and then I express myself to make sure that I also connect my emotion. Because eventually, emotion is what's going to help you remember something, right? You're not going to remember something from here. Believe me, when it comes to dancers, it doesn't happen that often. What really helps is feeling something, because when the emotion is connected to it and you're freestyling and you go, that emotion can come back up. And when that comes back up, the feeling that fits the emotion is going to come to you. So that's really useful. Now, I would say 30 is not enough anymore for me. And it's a good start. But eventually, you want to go and do more. Basically, the end goal of drilling is to get to muscle memory. Okay, it's written down really messed up. Don't you judge me for that one. But muscle memory, yes, that's what it's about. We're trying to gain muscle memory, which is my muscles and my mind connecting together without me having to consciously decide what I'm doing. Meaning, while I'm walking, I don't think of every step that I take, right? Or when I'm speaking, I don't think of every letter that I use to describe a certain word. So in a way, drilling is like saying your ABCs, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You remember when you said that in school? This is similar to that. You say that you get to the core elements of it, just like ABCs. You create the sets, aka the words, right? And then at a certain point, you set it into a sentence and you keep using the word over and over again until you remember it. And it becomes a part of your speech instead of something you have to think of before saying it again, right? So that's the goal, muscle memory. I heard that it takes 7 to 8 months to gain your muscle memory, meaning it takes a long time. So 30 times doing something on a day will not be enough. You're going to have to do it over and over again and make it become a pattern, right? Make it become a habit of you doing that movement. So besides using the 30, you can also try and make bigger sequences. Maybe I have to do something for hours or 1 hour, right? Or maybe I'm just going to play 5 songs and I have to practice this for 5 songs long and do the same set for 5 songs, which is, of course, it's going to be a little bit boring, but it's important. It helps a lot. You start with the basics, you start with the foundation, right? We drill the foundation into our system so that we don't have to think about it, of using it every time. So after we finished our drill and we finished this whole segment that is really tiring to do, we're going to go to the next segment, which is freestyle. And this is where a lot of people lose their productivity and their efficiency. Why? What happens when you play that music and you start freestyling? You just go and dance and you forget about the exercises, the idea, the techniques that you practiced. You kind of forget about it. I have it myself too sometimes, and I really understand it. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to sometimes let go, because in the end, dance is art. It's not a sport, meaning that drill that we are doing when we're lifting weights, it's not the same, right? We're not using it in the same way. So you don't want to stick to just the drill and the technique, but you also want to focus on the feeling and the creativity, because eventually this drill means nothing if you don't use your own emotion and creativity to paint the picture that you want to paint. So this freestyle can be used in a different way than just dancing. You can challenge yourself in the freestyle, and this is going to help you so much with broadening your movement, broadening your range, you could say. So how can we challenge ourselves when we are freestyling? Well, first of all, we take the idea that we have, the drill that we practiced, and we're going to try to use it in many different ways, right? We're going to open up our spectrum and try to find different variations we can apply to the movement so that it becomes bigger. I myself use this thing called the Variate 7, which is 7 variables that I apply to movement to make it more open, more broad, to give me a bigger spectrum that I can move into. I cannot give you all 7 though, because, well, as you can see, the paper is already full, but also it would take another complete paper to talk about those. I'm going to give you the core 4 elements or the core 4 variables that I use myself to practice with. So number 1 is level. Level speaks for itself. We take the idea that we have, right? If this is my idea, the light bulb, I'm going to try to practice and see if I can change levels and what happens if I, for instance, try to do the same thing on the floor. Now, if I go to the floor, of course, you're not going to see me now, but maybe I can do it, well, jump as well, something, just something weird. I'm just being creative, right? It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. I'm just trying to search for something that works. So changing the levels is extremely important because they give you more to talk about with the same move, right? It gives you a bigger story. Moving on to the second variable that I use is direction. Speaks for itself. The direction I am facing in. So it can be front, right, left, or back. Or actually 360 degrees in whatever way you want. Maybe even up, down, and so on. So that means that when I use this technique, I can use it in many different ways, which gives me different approaches to the same move, and that way I can again broaden my spectrum of movement with this. This can also help a lot when it comes to, for instance, doing battles or being in ciphers. Practicing your directions helps you to be in more control of whenever you are, for instance, dancing for a crowd, to still be able to use those directions with your techniques so that you can bring your story across to more people. The third one is musicality. So when I talk about musicality, what I mean is, can I take this idea, can I take this move, and can I apply it to the music in different ways? Can I apply it to a piano? Can I apply it to a drum? Can I take the energy of the music and have different songs and then use my same move in different ways? A lot of people tend to use, for instance, a movement in the same way in every different song. That it's okay, of course, there's no rules, but there's so much more that you can give, right? And understanding that energy of music can change the energy of your movement is really going to help you to evolve that movement into more than just a move and create a conversation instead of just using one word. Which brings us to the last one, which is texture. And this one to me is extremely important. So texture You could see it as water, right? We have the solid, the fluid, and the gas form. We have ice, water, and mist, right? So if I, for instance, take a wave and I think of the gas form, I can move in a completely different way than I would do it if I would think of water, right? Or if I would think of ice, my movement would get a completely different feel. So the texture changes. I do the same move, but I do it with a different approach. And that's what texture is all about. And why this is so extremely important to me personally is because this is the only thing that really, or not the only thing, but this is one of the things that really set people apart. The textures, the way I approach my movement. We all have 2 arms, 2 legs, body, head, and so on. We have the same. All of us have the same. Some of us a little bit different than others in size and whatever, but we have the same, right? And textures help us to have the same but use it different. You could see it as your own way of speaking. We all have a different tone in our voice. We all have a different pitch. We all have a different, volume, right? And textures are like the volume, the pitch. If we talk about writing, the font, cursive, capital letters, and so on. Big letters, very small letters. Textures are just like those things, but then in your body, in movement. And this is extremely interesting and really helped me a lot. So these are the 4 core variations that I use and apply to my own movement. Like I said, I cannot give you all 7 right now. Maybe in another video we can work on those and I can send that to you as well. But for now, let's go over everything again. So the 3 are explore and experiment. We are searching for an idea. We can use it, finding inspiration from within our bodies, right? Our physical capabilities, or we can think of something outside and take, for instance, a bottle of wine. I just looked at it, and then when I drink it, I don't know, it creates a wave down. I bring it back up, and it creates it, or it rotates around. I'm just thinking of something, boom, weird, right? Whatever. We can take inspiration from inside and outside. The most important thing in that is that you find something that you enjoy and like doing, because you're not going to want to drill something that you don't like that much, right? After that, we get to the drill, where we're going to drill that thing into our foundation, making a part of our subconsciousness, make it a part of our dance, instead of something that we have to think of. Because if I'm going to battle, or teach, or perform, I don't want to think of every movement that I have to do. I want to express myself, meaning it doesn't have to come. It doesn't come from here anymore. It comes from right there, right? So we search for the core movements. What are the parts that create this move? We create sets, small pieces that we can put together. So this right here that I just did, I'm also moving my legs, but you can't see it. But this, and then maybe moving back, and then other side as well, moving back up. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Move it back, down, boom, 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 move it back. That's a set. There, up, down. Because that way I applied every range of movement that I can take in the base of it. I applied it. So that's a set. We do it over and over again and create a repetition, create a habit of it. It could be a 30, the dirty 30. It can be for a certain amount of hours, a certain amount of songs. Important is that you know exactly what you're going to do, because if you're just going to practice it and don't really have a time or amount set, you can stop earlier or later or whatever. You're going to have to feel as if it's rewarding. So you need to get to a certain point and say, I finished this, so that the practice still feels rewarding for you. Okay? The goal is to get that muscle memory kicking in, right? To not think of movement anymore and actually just do it without having to focus on what it is that you want to do. From there, we go into the freestyle, where we try to challenge yourself. Instead of just playing music and dancing, we try to, it's kind of almost like a game, right? We're trying to ask ourselves, okay, what if I try it like this? Can I do this and this and this? We apply the variations that we can think of. I gave you the core 4 of mine, which is level, direction, musicality, and texture. Now, the way I use these, I don't always do them in the same order. You can do it in whatever order you want. You can take some out. You can only practice freestyling. You can only drill. It all depends on how much time you have. So explore this for yourself. Find the way that works for you, right? Maybe drilling is not for you, or using these exercises all not for you. Find what works for you, because that's all it's about. I can only give you what I use, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna work exactly for you. Also, you can use it for any other thing. You don't have to think of a new idea and reinvent the wheel every time. I can, for instance, take techniques that I already know and apply them to these things, right? For instance, the freestyle part with the variations, I can just take anything that I know as, for instance, waves, grooves, whatever you can think of. Let's say I have this groove, boom, right here, right? I'm gonna take the level, direction, musicality, and texture. I'm gonna change my, for instance, textures, right, with that move to practice that part. Or I'm gonna train using direction and changing my direction. This is weird to do this for the camera, but change my direction while I do the move, right? There's so much you can do with it. So really play with it, because in the end, though this is it looks very strict, training, it's still about being creative and about having fun. Okay, so but when I say creative, what I mean by that is, even though we're doing 30, you can do them differently every time, right? You can change the game. You can make the rules different so that it is still interesting to do. And that's, I think, actually, funny enough, the most important thing that I want to tell you. Be creative when you actually practice. Just do something new every time. If you want to achieve something you've never had before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. So being creative is the must, right? It's the most important part. Anyway, I really hope this helps. The 3 phases of training, or the 3 phases of mastery. This part is where the mastery kicks in, because you take one thing and you ask yourself, can I use it in every different way? To me, this helps you to create more of a story with your dance instead of just a move, right? It makes it broader. You're now able to basically make a whole dance sequence with just one move. And that's, to me, that's the end goal. That's the mastery of that movement, right? Use it in whatever way you want. Thank you so much for taking the time to look at my video, taking the time to buy a shirt, or subscribe to the email list. I really appreciate it, and really hope that this is a good way of saying thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I already said that many times before, and I'm making this way too long, and I'm talking way too much, so I'm just gonna let it go now and say bye. Maybe you can post like something in the comments of how you use this, or things that you already did, or maybe things that you don't see in here that you are using that actually helps you with practicing. Tell me what you think, and that way we can maybe talk together, or you can talk with other people in the list, in the comment section, and get a bigger spectrum of this, because this is just a tiny small bit of it. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Peace.